Well, hello, and welcome to the newest episode of Primetime Makeover. Now, we know that women in our prime time, we want to be in love. We want to feel loved. We want to, have that special someone. And so as we're kind of going through the month of February talking about love, let's talk about love in the prime time. And specifically, let's talk about dating in the prime time. Now, some of us may have gone through the route of divorce or widowhood, or maybe we've never been married, but that doesn't mean that we don't want and deserve love. But dating in the prime time has some challenges and some exciting opportunities, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, like what some of the challenges are of dating, when you're over a certain age, or when you're in a certain stage of life, or when you reach a certain status in life, like what that looks like. What do women want in dating? What do women need in a partner? What kind of dates make sense to a woman in her prime time, right?
Yeah, we get what kind of makes sense? It really makes sense. And it needs to make sense.
It needs to make it make sense. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Why are we here?
In the prime time. So let's talk about what is it that women want in a partner when they're after a certain age or they've reached a certain status. What do women really want in a partner, in a mate? Can we talk about that a little bit, ladies?
Yeah, we can.
We can. Melissa, start us off. What do women want?
Well, I think it's different for everyone, right? Depending on their needs, depending on where they are. You made a great point. Where they are, the season of what they've gone through. But I would say, for me, I was a widow some years ago, and I'm going on actually 9 years. And I think for me, after having or being married with Chandra, I wanted somebody that I can love with, I can build with, I can grow with, but also somebody that I can enjoy life with, and enjoy in a way that it's not overbearing or too much. Sometimes we can do too much, and it's like you don't need all of that, but just to be able to enjoy somebody and then be understanding and learn how to just keep evolving and not live in the past or live in the flaws or the imperfections of what we all deal with. So that's what it looks like for me after being married.
After being married,
yeah.
Okay. So there were some challenges because you had a previous relationship,
right?
Mm-hmm. Marriage, building with kids, and now you're in a different relationship, right? So I'm sure some things showed up for you.
Yes.
And that transition from one relationship, obviously going through the widowhood and grieving, but then entering to, and the desire, the willingness to enter into a new relationship after that, right? The willingness. Yeah.
In all caps.
All caps.
Yeah, because even now my children are older. I'm, mature, much older, and I had to be mindful of what I served in the last season is different for me in this new season, right? Mm-hmm. And actually, after been married, some things you learn from that, and then now hear this, ladies, not to take what you have and apply it directly to the person that you're with, but to use some of those nuggets to understand now what a marriage actually, or what it should look like, or what it needs. Because even now as a mother, being married a second time is different. Mm-hmm. Children are older, but they still are, a little needy, because you don't have to do the small things, but now you got to do the big adult things, and you got to be able to show them too how to show up after life gives you unexpected changes,
Yeah, that's good. What about you, Sheila?
So I became a widow in 2009. Mm-hmm. And after I went through my grief process, I started to like being single. So I wasn't looking for a mate at all. But then after time, I did get lonely. And so entered the dating pool.
Take your time, Sheila.
It's interesting they call it a pool. It's interesting they call it a pool, right?
They should call it a cesspool. Mine was. So I did, and I went out on this one date. Maybe 2 years after my husband died, I went out on a date. And I was a senior citizen at that time. So I went out with another senior citizen. I guess he was in his 60s, 60-ish.
That counts.
And so we went out on a date. The man pulled his medication out on the table. And he started taking those pills. First of all, he had the big old belly. And I'm just going to be real. Y'all ask.
Keep it real.
Y'all ask.
He had a belly. He had a belly and he had medicine. And I'm like, am I going to be a widow again if I be with him? You know what I mean? I thought about that. I thought about that. He was sick. He looked sick anyway. And not only that, but before I even went out on a date, he asked me to come to his house and cook. On the first date,
I'm gonna have to leave.
I'm like,
Ooh, I'm gonna need a commercial.
I'm like, I don't know you. I'm not going to your house, and I'm not cooking. Can we go out? And we went to some little rinky-dink Chinese restaurant, and I don't even like Chinese food. I don't. Never have, and I don't like Chinese.
That date didn't make sense for you.
That makes sense.
The math one math.
It didn't make sense to me, and I didn't go on another date until I met my current husband. Y'all want to know how I met him?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say this on camera, but I'm going to say it on camera. I was having, it was like 3 years after my husband died, I was having these back pains, really, really bad. And I said, I need to go to the doctor. And it was like September 14th, I'll never forget, because it was 2 days after my birthday. I said, but I need to go see about this, because I'm bent over, and I'm like, I don't want to be like this for the rest of my life. Ain't nobody going to want me. Right? All bent over, old lady bent over. So I made this.
With the pills might have won.
He might have. We'd have been two
With
sick
a big
people,
belly.
all sick people together. And so I
for
saw. It was like 2:00 in the morning. I slept with my TV on because that was my company. I saw this infomercial for the Illinois Back Institute, and Dan Hampton, who is a former Chicago Bears, he did the infomercial, and it was this whole infomercial thing. I said, oh, I should go there. The place was in Orland Park, and I said, well, I don't really want to go out there because there's going to be the other persuasion in the place. And, you know, I don't want to be the only me. But I went because I was in pain. So true enough, I got there. I didn't see nobody that looked like me. But I went because I was in pain. The lady said, the doctor is with a patient. So I'm going to let you try out this machine that relaxes your back. So I laid out on the machine and it was so wonderful. I closed my eyes and it was just massaging me and massaging me. So I had my eyes closed. And this person came up and they said, Miss Jenkins. And I opened my eyes and Mandingo was standing over me. And I'm like, yes.
Mandingo.
I'm like,
Not Mandingo.
I'm like, yes. I'm Dr. Hopkins. Would you come with me, please? So I'm like, okay. I went traipsing behind Dr. Hopkins and he examined me, got an MRI, all this kind of stuff. So a week later, I went back for him to tell me the results of the MRI, and he did all of that. And then he said, would you like to go out for conversation and coffee? And honey, that line got me.
Yes.
And I went out and we married.
That date made sense.
That date made sense.
And your back felt better.
I never had another back pain.
Oh,
We're
yes.
not getting ready to talk about backs.
I never had another back
On
pain.
this here.
I mean, we can talk about that.
No, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. But you know what? Some dates make sense and some dates don't make sense.
Right.
That one made sense.
Right.
And I got to say, you know, it made sense to me for a lot of reasons. But the main thing is he could keep up with my energy. Even though I'm an older woman, I've got a lot, as y'all can tell, I have a lot of energy. So he's 13 years younger than me. So I out-energize, if that makes sense, him. But still, you know, the older man definitely couldn't.
She got a lot of energy.
Yeah,
Okay.
the older man couldn't keep up with me, but the younger guy could. You know, we would jog and go dancing and all this kind of stuff that I like to do. You know, so that made sense to me.
Yeah. It makes sense to you, right? It was somebody that was compatible
Yes.
to you, right? And compatibility looks different. Right?
does, it
It's
does.
not about necessarily we're in the same age range or we have the same, you know, lifestyle, but there's a compatibility that you were looking for.
Absolutely.
But you know what? That makes me think about something that you said previously, like you were comfortable being single. And sometimes for women in their prime time, that's a whole situation of stepping out into the dating scene, because sometimes you're comfortable being where you are. You're good. Like, you're not needy. You know, you might feel some loneliness, but you know, you can feel that void with friends and family and stuff like that. But that comfort, and I think that's what makes it come into a challenge in the prime time, because you're like, you're going to come into my world and change it.
Yes.
You're going to come into my world. You're going to change my world if you come into it. And so that makes a reluctance and a hesitancy of dating. And so it's been challenging out here, like you said, in the dating pool, whatever we want to call it. But talk a little bit about, I mean, because I really want people to like get this. Like, this is a different way of approaching dating now. You know, with the online dating, with the, you know, internet, you know, we don't meet people that, like, your testimony was really good because you met somebody naturally, right? Organically. Exactly. But for a lot of us out here, we're not meeting organically. We don't have a friend that's introducing us to somebody. You know, we don't meet somebody in the grocery store or at the bookstore or something like that. Or even in church, right? Sometimes it's not even happening in the churches.
Listen.
Most times it's not.
Not happening. That dating is not happening. Some women are running from some of these church men.
Yes.
They are running from the church men.
I mean, they used to go to the church, Lasandra, to look for a significant other. Now it's like they're running from the place.
Running from the church.
Because it doesn't, it really doesn't matter. I think it matters where you go, but you can find the most wholesome person in a place that you may not frequently visit. You know, and we overlook things because we're trying to find people based on where we think they should be or where I would be if I wanted somebody to find me. But sometimes you can find them, you know, at the lounge. If that's your choice, you may find a good one. You may find a nice one, but you don't know. So you have to be open, is what I'm saying, to making sure that you're not guarding your heart too much and then you miss the blessing.
Yeah. But they're running from the church men and the church women,
Women,
right?
yes.
And that's interesting, you know, because that was our natural community. Natural community. And so now with the advent of online dating, like, you can meet somebody that is clear across the country or clear across the world. And then you have those cultural clashes that happen when you're trying to be in a relationship, because our cultures are not the same. We don't value the same things. We don't have the same standards and expectations of things. And so that brings me to my next point, is about expectations and standards in relationships. And I think that a lot of people have unrealistic expectations about dating.
Really?
Agreed.
I think they have unrealistic expectations about dating.
What is one you're thinking of?
I think the biggest one is that somebody is going to be your peace.
Your what?
Your peace.
Oh, like as in peace of
They're
mind.
going to be your peace. I want some peace.
What are you talking about?
Somebody is going to be your peace. You are expecting somebody to come into your life and just magically create peace for you. And I think that's an unrealistic expectation. You should not be expecting anybody to be your peace.
It has to be from
See,
within.
and there's this thing, and it is in dating, but it can also be in marriage. And I, when you talk about expectations, the idea that you're going to meet somebody, and that person is going to satisfy every need that you will have, and become your everything.
That's unrealistic.
That's unrealistic. And it's unhealthy to even attempt that.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
And so and I have not dated anybody other than my husband for more than 3 decades. But I'm curious, are people putting those expectations of finding someone who will be their everything, who must be perfect? I've heard women describe their perfect men. I'm like, you're still doing that? 6'5", green eyes. I'm like, what?
And you know what I tell them?
Light skin ain't even his style.
No, it's not. Never has been. You know,
That's outdated.
it really is. It really is. And I
I'm sorry.
You know,
I like a
the
light
comedian
skin,
in me said to those women, they wouldn't want you.
See?
That tall, dark, handsome, light skin, whatever, would not want you.
And so
They don't want you. So why are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why are we doing that?
physical expectations, right?
Yeah.
Not being open to, you know, a nice person,
yeah.
right? I think another unrealistic expectation is for a lot of men, and I'm gonna go there. A lot of men want a woman to fawn over them from the very beginning. Meaning they're responsible for keeping the connection going. The women are responsible for that. The women are responsible for setting the pathway for the relationship. The women are responsible for that.
The vision almost.
The vision for it. And I'm like, no, if you can't even plan a day for me, how can I trust you to come together and be a life partner for me? Right?
Yes.
But it's all about the chase. And the men are not chasing. The women are chasing.
Women are responsible for
The
pursuing
women are
that.
the chasing. The women are the chasing.
Oh,
The women
okay.
are doing the chasing.
Do you think social media plays a part in all of this?
It plays a part.
3,000%.
Okay.
3,000%. I think, and you know, obviously, we're doing a podcast. There are many people doing a podcast talking about dating and relationships. And some of the things that people are setting as expectations, and this is what you should do, you know, in relationships are just not how real life plays out. It's not how real life. You might meet this guy who has all of these things and is willing to, you know, spend money and all of these things, but many of us out here dating and getting flued out.
That's right.
We're not getting flued out.
What does that mean?
Taking on a plane to Paris.
That's Prime Makeover dictionary.
I knew what that meant.
You know, that's not what's really happening
it's
in
not.
most
And
relationships.
it's not happening. Let's be real. It's not happening in our culture.
Right.
The black men don't have that kind of money, for the most part.
Some do.
Some do, but a lot don't. And you can't set your expectations on that alone.
Yeah.
But I hear women our age talking like that, and I thought that is not good. You will never meet your forever person thinking like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to ask a question though, and it seems natural to me, but by the time you get into the prime of your life, if you want to travel, you should be able to take
You
a
should
trip.
be doing it
Yeah.
yourself.
So we're not looking for
We're
somebody
not looking for
Right.
somebody to
take
do
us
those things for us.
on places,
Right.
Yeah.
but we're not looking to necessarily do that for somebody else either. No sugar mama or
Right.
auntie or
No.
whatever they call
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Mama, you got
Sugar
it right.
mama.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so those expectations, if we take that part off the table, then what happens? If you take the fluing me around or
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
flued
Get
out.
flued out.
If we take that off the table, then do things come into more balance?
Right.
Yeah.
Having realistic expectations. I think the other big challenge in dating in the prime time is the differences in communication styles. Right? I think for women, I think as we age and as we become more settled in ourselves and who we are, we're able to adequately communicate that to some degree. I think men have challenges with communication. And I think that, you know, sometimes you expressing yourself feels like an argument to them. I've had that said to me before. I was dating a gentleman, and you know, anytime I, you know, just try to express myself to him and say, okay, well, this is, I don't like this. I think we should do this. Maybe you should consider this. Well, you just like to argue. I'm not even arguing.
Yeah.
I'm just presenting a perspective that I think could help us move and advance our relationship a little bit further. But if I can't express myself, if I can't say what's on my heart, if I can't communicate, you know, how I think and how I feel, and that becomes an argument, then we got a problem.
Yeah.
We got a problem. And so I think that we have a lot of confidence, coming into our prime time. And I think that sometimes that can be intimidating for some men.
Yes.
That we have this level of confidence and assurity, and we kind of know what we want if we've done the work of, kind of loving ourselves and learning ourselves
Self-respect.
and things and so everything is not coming out of this place of deep pain or hurt, or you were broken over your, divorce, or your widowhood or anything. Like, it's not coming out of that. It's coming out of, okay, if I'm moving forward and if I am choosing to have a relationship at this stage in my life, then I actually want you and I need you.
Right. That's
it.
difference.
I want you and I don't need you. I don't need a father for my children. I don't need somebody to support and take care of me. I don't need to do stuff around the house. I'm choosing you because I want you as a companion. I want to be with you. And so if I want to be with you, if I'm making a choice to be with you, then we have to have some ground rules, some boundaries, some commonality, some compatibility, some things. And if I'm pointing out, if I'm willing to point that out to you, then that means I care enough about you to communicate what could be better.
Yeah.
If I didn't care, deuces. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We can just keep it moving.
We can just keep it moving. But I care enough about you to communicate, okay, this could be better. But when that is perceived as being argumentative, then you've already lost me. This is a no.
Wow.
It's a red flag.
So what are the solutions when you run into that? Because that intimidation factor is real.
Yeah.
When you're in the prime of your life, in terms of your career, you have probably, if you're still working, you are where you want to be. You are not striving and all the other stuff. So that can be intimidating. So what is the solution?
I encourage people, and I haven't done this yet in the dating relationships that I've had, but I encourage people to do a couple different things. One, write down realistic expectations of relationships. Like, what is it that you want in the relationship? Two, read a book together. Read a book on relationships together. And what it becomes is a neutral party bringing up principles, so you don't get into that discussion about arguments and things like that. This is a neutral place. And then thirdly, okay, I'm an advocate for couples counseling, right? Even as dating. Even in a dating relationship, I'm an advocate for couples counseling. Let's sit down. Let's go over with a therapist, a counselor, a coach or something. Let's go over some of the things that you'll learn, the communication principles. You'll learn about realistic expectations. You'll learn about love languages. You'll learn about, life changes, things that come up from women, like menopause, premenopausal, like how this affects relationships. Like you have somebody to navigate that with, talk with, mediate with somebody that's impartial and fair, so that you really understand what you're getting yourself into.
You're speaking truth, because I did that. I did, they do the premarital counseling. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think when you have the purpose in mind to marry someone, you should do couples counseling, because honestly, trying to do all of what you just said in 6 weeks is usually the term of when they say we're going to do 6 weeks premarital counseling. That's a lot. I feel like that's stressful too, because I'm trying to learn and grow somebody in 6 weeks. Let me decide if this is something I should continue. But it's 6 weeks. It's like, okay, we booking a venue and we doing couples counseling. We tasting the cake, and then you're like, okay, what am I? It's a lot going on. So I took the stance, and we took the stance to do couples counseling, because we knew we were dating with purpose. And I would say there were benefits from that. Some things that I didn't have to go into my marriage with that we were able to handle in the pre-work. Because I always say this, like, there's some fires I shouldn't have to put out over there that I should be putting out over here. Some things I shouldn't be taking over there. And when we don't do the work, to your point, then you spend more time in the marriage doing all of that instead of enjoying it and learning each other and evolving, because that's fun too when you're learning each other. So yeah, couples counseling is definitely one. Yeah.
And I would say that as a precursor to the premarital, because we don't even get to the premarital if we don't even know if we're going to be in a relationship. And so this is a modern day approach to it, because of the fact that we don't have that community anymore. usually, we were dating people that we knew
Yes,
people,
right.
and that kind of thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They could vouch for the character, all of that stuff. But now we don't have that, so we've lost the connection of the community. So now this is another way to navigate that, right? Sit down with a therapist, do the couples counseling to see, okay, what are some areas of compatibility, what was not really working, those kinds of things I think would be helpful in the date. And if we're there, we're like, okay, maybe this could work. The other thing, which is huge, is if you're dating in your prime time, individual therapy.
I was just
Individual therapy.
Yes.
Individual
I was thinking
therapy.
that too.
You have come into the prime time of your life, whether you have been married and divorced, married and widowed, or single for a long time. There are a lot of preconceived ideas that you have about relationships that you're going to bring into a current relationship.
That's so true.
You're going to bring that into the current relationship. And so walking through that, it's not all about healing, but there are some areas of your life that need to heal so that you can be open and receive somebody into that space. I know that after my divorce, my therapist has been on speed dial forever, right? But after the divorce, I'm like, girl, we need 2-3 sessions a week, right? And I was very intentional about that. Yes, I know all the things to do, but there are blind spots in my own self, right?
Yes.
So I knew that I needed to sit down with my therapist and, okay, walk through this brokenness of the divorce, walk through this new season of my life. What do I want that to look like for me as a single person? And then when and if I decide to start dating and invite somebody else into my life, because now it's transitional. Everything about my life is transitional, and I'm in reconstruction phase in a lot of spaces. And we know how when construction is happening on a building, right? You got too many carpenters in there, too many things. There's a whole lot going on, and we don't know if there is any clear plan for that.
Right.
So walking through individual therapy to me was like a godsend to help me to prepare for dating in the prime time.
And that's so good that you mentioned that, because I think we're always, to your point, trying to get to the end line of marriage or what that should look like, or somebody to take care of us, that foolishness. But we have to make sure that we're working on ourselves, to your point, with the individual therapy, because you will attract according to where you are and what you haven't. A lot of times we'll start trying to marry or date from the unhealed place, because we're still depending on them. I'm sure you've seen that in your experience, depending on them to fill the void instead of making sure we do the internal work, so then we can know it specifically too what we really need in marriage or what we're going after.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it looks different. It looks very, very different. Dating for me now is there's a lot of things that I don't need that I needed previously when I was younger, when I was less mature, when I had a lot of responsibility. Now I'm looking for somebody to just, partner with. Like, I want to have fun. I'm sorry. I want to have fun. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. I want to have fun. I have permission to play. I have permission to play.
Absolutely.
So I want to have fun. I just want a guy who knows how to be a gentleman. Who knows how to be a gentleman, who is concerned about me, cares about me, willing to make compromises, not sacrifices, compromises.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's
Because every
really
relationship,
good.
yes.
Compromises. I don't want you to sacrifice who you are.
Right.
I don't want
I
to
need that.
sacrifice who I am,
Right.
but we can compromise.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's
Right?
good.
We can compromise.
Throw it away.
Yeah.
Let's work on it.
I want to ask probably a last question. We all saw the producer. We actually like the
Yeah,
We did.
I did see.
We're sorry.
But I'm listening to this conversation and I am imagining there's a woman who's saying, you know what? Never mind. I don't want any parts of dating at this juncture in my life, just because it seems like such a hassle. What would you say to her?
I would probably say, because there are a lot. And I sometimes I'm there too. Like, Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. But you want to think about like, what is your purpose for being in a relationship? What does it bring to your life? What does it add to your life, right? And if you're doing everything on your own and you don't need it, okay, I would say no. But for some who are wanting that but reluctant to go into the dating pool and try on this adventure, I would say just be patient with the process, because you're probably going to go through a couple people that might not be a good fit for you. Be patient with the process. Don't get discouraged, and have set a realistic expectations for the relationship, and make sure that the relationship is not the end all be all for your life.
Right. That's more.
That's really good. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Make sure
Don't
you
put
have
all of it.
quality
Yes.
friends and community in
Yes.
which to build and grow relational skills and things like that, and get the fulfillment
Hobbies.
from
Yeah.
that. Get some hobbies.
Yes.
Make sure that there's things that you can do on your own, and then go into it just with an open mind. Go into it with an open mind and see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
And see what happens. See what happens. See what happens. So that concludes this episode on Primetime Makeover on dating. We want you to like, share, and subscribe to our channel,
Yes.
because we got some good stuff we talking about. We want the world to hear what we're talking about, right? Women in our prime time, we got some good stuff still in us, and we want to let them get out. All right, remember that you are loved.
Yes.
Yay.
Till next time.